modern world, we're so used to getting our thinking, our concepts, our opinions, even our very direction, not from actual experience, but from outside media, from the internet, books, articles. And Scrum, at its core, is based on what we call empirical process control, or empiricism. And this term empiricism has its origins in Latin. And from the root we also get terms experience and experiment. So process control is the active changing of a process based on the results of process monitoring. So when we add the two of them together, we explain it as the act of making changes and adapting our process based on what we have experienced. It means working in a fact-based, an experience-based and evidence-based manner. So if we regard empiricism as the bedrock of Scrum, we have three pillars which support this structure. And these are transparency, inspection, adaptation. And I sometimes call it adaptation. Transparency. The first point I'll make about transparency is that the process and the work must be visible to both the team and the stakeholders. And I like to believe that the process is straightforward if we're using Scrum, the Scrum framework, because then we have a person entirely devoted to this task, i.e. the Scrum Master. And they liaise with all to make sure that they understand how we will be working. In terms of the work, in Scrum, we have the three artifacts, which between them should absolutely show everything we could do in the future, what we're doing now, and what we have done. And it's also important to note that through these artifacts, we base all our important decisions. So we have to continually focus on making sure that these formal artifacts are in a fit state. And if not, this leads to low transparency, which leads to decisions that decrease value and increase risk. And a key point from the Scrum Guide is that, and I quote, transparency enables inspection. Inspection without transparency is misleading and wasteful. Inspection. Empiricism dictates that we must inspect both the process and the Scrum artifacts on a regular basis to ask questions like, are we veering off course? Do we have problems ahead? And the 5 Scrum events are purpose-built for this task. They're designed to provoke change. And just as transparency enables inspection, so too does inspection enable adaptation. No point in inspection if we're not going to make the necessary changes. Adaptation. So if we have transparency, everything is visible, everything is discussed and understood by all interested parties, and we have continuous inspection so that we're always reviewing and analysing, then the last step, adaptation, is the cherry on the cake. I like to use the term continuous improvement for when we begin to see how we can improve our product and our processes on a continual basis based on our continuous feedback loops. And while I use this very general concept, the Scrum Guide relates adaptation more to the inspection phase, stating that if one or more aspects of a process or resulting product deviate outside acceptable limits, then the process or the material must be adjusted as soon as possible, or as the guide says, the moment it learns anything new, to minimize further deviation. And I do note that adaptation becomes more difficult when the people involved are not empowered and are not self-managing. So to wrap up on empiricism, the Scrum Guide alludes to the fact that the most important medium for transparency are the 3 artifacts. It adds to this by saying that the prescribed events are the primary medium through which inspection and adaptation are achieved. But to be honest, all elements, the roles, the events, the artifacts and the rules are key to Scrum empiricism.